So I think this brings us to the last thing we do at General Meeting with Becky Sloviter, last looks.
Yeah.
Pop culture questions that are meant to be a bit of a remembrance, a bit of a celebration, and also just, what you choose as some of your favorite things and the art that's so meaningful to you is so defining of you. Yeah. And so I'm so excited to hear these.
These questions fill me with anxiety. It's so hard. I know I'm not the only one.
No, you are not. It's really, and I have adjusted my language slightly because I'm like, I have a favorite movie of all time. I have realized in doing this, some people are like, that's too hard a question. So, Hilary Winston, what is either your favorite movie of all time or a few movies? And Edie Patterson was here. She named 8. Like, you can name however many you want. Movies that you feel you love and are representative of your taste.
I have to do like kind of categories, but Perfect. I do feel like because I'm type A,
love it.
I have to answer the question with my favorite movie, which is Amadeus. And I saw it like now it was like a couple of years ago at the Hollywood Bowl with the live orchestra and stuff. And was
Tom Hulce there?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But I absolutely love that movie so much. And it's, to me, it's kind of one of those things where you're like, oh, you're a comedy writer. Like, why is this the movie you're passionate about? Well, one, Tom Hulce is incredibly funny in it.
Yes.
But the relationship between Soliari and Mozart, in that movie is just one of the greatest relationships in like movie history. And as a creative person, the being able to recognize somebody's genius and recognize that you will never be that seems like just the most painful thing that you could possibly imagine.
Yes.
And so like that relationship just resonates with me.
Incredible choice.
I like to write to soundtracks. And so I'll write to that soundtrack, just because it's very motivating because it's been scored to like, scenes and you're trying to get that rising and like, it's just, it's, very inspiring, but it's a beautiful, beautiful, sad, heartbreaking, like everything, like,
it's so great.
Movie. But I will say the difference between like, I can also watch this movie like whenever it comes on, but there's those movies that are kind of the unsung ones that I feel like I wouldn't necessarily say is like my favorite movie, but I watch. So I have to give a shout out to the ones that like, if they're on TV, I will just watch.
Yes.
Which is like Reality Bites.
Obviously. Thank you. Was just talking about Lainey and Troy Dyer 2 days ago.
Oh, really? I mean, just the absolute best, and, I can always watch The Holiday.
Something is like back in culture, especially this past Christmas.
Oh.
Yeah. It's like, yes.
Love it.
Love you, Nancy Myers.
Yeah. And, and something's got to give, and then I realized that it was kind of in Bridget Jones' Diary. So it's like women writers. And I was like, it's just interesting to me that like, for me, those are the ones that kind of like stuck around, or even as I got older where I was younger and it's like the cool hard comedy. And it's like, a man who will not be named who influenced heavily, like, my comedy and watching, all of his body of work, and then having to re-examine that of being like, hey, was this point of view the point of view that I maybe should have been taking in about what it is like to be a woman.
Yes. Totally. Yeah. That's such a great way to put that. That comes up a lot. And Jessie Klein, when she was here, Bridget Jones's Diary was one of her favorites too. I was on an airplane like 6 months ago and I watched Empire Records and Bridget Jones's Diary because we are who we are.
Yeah.
And there is something, Reality Bites is perfect. It's perfect.
It's a perfect movie. It really just captures that time you graduate from college and you think your life is starting, and it doesn't feel like that at all. I just referenced it, like when I was working on this this outline for a script that I sold to Onyx, and I was just like, it's like that scene where Janeane Garofalo says, "Oh my God, you're hired."
Yeah.
And then Winona Ryder's like, "I'm not working at the Gap." That was great.
The friendships, how perceptive, the Ben Stiller character, what he does in that movie, and is also the brilliant director.
Yeah.
It's just, that can't be overstated. Yeah. Oh my God.
I know. So
love that movie so much. Great call. Great call. Desert Island Albums. You are stranded on a deserted island. You have 2 albums with you to help maintain your sanity. What are those 2 albums?
So I have like the nostalgia play one. That's the one that it's just like, I feel like was so defining that like I would just have to have, which is Paul's Boutique.
Yes.
You know?
This has I'm so happy because you can see my Beastie Boys thing there. You can see my book there. This has been the most often referenced.
That's awesome.
Say more. Great.
It's perfect album. It didn't get its due like when it came out, you know, so like that is just, and then it's also like it's cooler than Check Your Head, even though that became, you know, it's perfect.
Yes.
And then, but the real one that I would like probably listen to all the time, and it's kind of a cheat, is like Simon and Garfunkel in Central Park. Yeah.
I love that.
They re-show it on like PBS sometimes.
Yeah, they do.
And it's like, that's another thing that I'll just watch the whole time. I just saw Paul Simon, such an incredible storyteller, and I think that it just there's every type of song in there, so I feel like
love it. So perfect. I have memories. Did you ever live at Columbia Plaza when you were at GW? I lived there senior year.
I almost got hit by Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I was walking because like to get to Columbia Plaza, I lived there sophomore year.
Yep.
And the Ralph's was in the Watergate or whatever they called it, Safeway. Yeah. Safeway. And so there's like the parking garage from the Watergate came up there, and she was very short, and so she was like not very like high up, but I was just like, oh my God, that was like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, and she lived in the Watergate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I was like, that was like, I think there was a campaign at GW for a while. It was like only at GW.
Oh, talk about, I was just going to say, that is an only at GW story.
Yeah.
100%. I love it. Okay. Amazing choices. Books. Favorite book of all time, or a book you've read recently that you would recommend?
Favorite book of all time is too hard. So I'm just going to go with the most recent book I read.
Okay.
The Correspondent, which...
Yes. My best friend Amy just mentioned this. My mom just mentioned this.
Yeah.
Everybody is reading this.
Yes.
Say more. I actually don't really know anything about it.
So it's all letters. And it's, you know, it's interesting because as like a screenwriter, you know, letters are like, it's very similar kind of like style where you're confined to, okay, this is how they're going to, you know, speak, and they're speaking as a singular person, and you know, and then so it's very interesting, and it's a very tough thing to pull off and really have that same emotional connection and stuff, and like choosing like what you put in each letter. I thought it was a really good way to look at how important the way you're telling a story is, and not just the story, and what you leave out is just as important as what you put in. And I think that in a book of letters, that it becomes really, really obvious, you know, and for all writers, what you leave out is just as important as what you put in, no matter what you're writing, movie or TV script. And so this book does that really well.
That is so beautifully said. Okay, last question. TV.
TV, yes.
I'm always curious about this, especially given your success and your career and all of it. And someone was just saying that when they are writing on a show, they don't watch a lot of TV. So I'm sort of curious about your habit also, but what is either favorite show of all time or show you've watched recently would recommend?
So what I want to shout out is what I think is the best show on TV right now. And I like cannot understand why these actors are not winning every Emmy, and why this is not the only thing any of us are talking about is Industry.
I was just going to say, if you say Industry, could not agree more.
Ken Long, you know, is just like, I mean, he's Eric Tao to me. I just told a friend, I was like, I cannot call him his real name. Like
But, and how fucking great is it when an actor who has been doing it for a really long time finally gets a role like this?
Gets an Eric Tao. And
I mean,
he's just forever Eric Tao. And
I mean, sorry, Ken. It's so true.
Yeah.
They just announced yesterday, coming back for season 5. That's going to be the final season.
That's going to be the final season. Okay, but thank God there's
and they're wanting there was something that Conrad had posted about like not wanting to end on a high note, but like really something like they're really going to do it up in season 5. I'm like, how? How are you going to top yourselves, people?
Yes, I know.
I hesitate to go too in depth talking about any
you don't
specifics.
Want to ruin anything. But it's just it is, the characters are like just perfection, you know, and it's just like the way like there's like no rules in the show. Like there's so many times you're kind of like, well, the show can't do this or this can't, you know, like when you're working in a room and it can't, you know, and then it's like they'll kind of break all the rules and go follow a character and just do an episode
It's
with
just
that.
a Rishi episode.
You know,
Like,
yeah,
yes,
and that
exactly.
Rishi episode is like so amazing.
Rishi.
Yeah, I mean Rishi, and like and they just also like will do anything if it's the right thing for the show and for the story.
Yes.
Like regardless of like the actors or their commitment or what, you know, like they will just do what they have to do, which I think is really great. But there's just so often like, you know, so many times I'm watching it and there's just like a line where I just like have to just like, whoa, like take it in.
Do you have that thing as a writer where you get like, God damn it, I wish I'd written that line? Is it that, or are you more like in awe?
No, it's in awe because it's, you know, it's different than what I do. Yeah. And so like I find that I enjoy TV the most that is not like in my lane. So, you know, to me, I'm looking at just like these relationships, like, you know, not this isn't giving anything away, but like season 1, you know, Robert and like the woman, his female client who's like very successful. They both come from backgrounds where they kind of don't really belong there. And like they have a scene where she kind of talks about like, you know, they want your money, but they don't accept you or something along those lines. And it's just like, you know, there's just so many just little kind of bits and pieces and the things that they are able to have characters when they mash them up together of like this character is from a, you know, wealthy background, educated background, this person isn't, or this person pulled themselves this way, and then you have this person with a person who's similar, then you have a scene where this person is with a person that has a different background, and it's like they just keep rotating it around, and you have just like, it's kind of like improv where you have different status characters and you have different status that matters at different points. You know, in some situations it matters that somebody is wealthier. In some situations that is a detriment to them that they have come from this kind of wealthy background. And so then it changes the dynamic depending on who they're with. And they're just so good at just constantly like moving that around. And I just, I'm just in awe sometimes. This last season, there was a scene I just with Harper and Eric. And I just was like, I just had to pause afterwards and just be like, this is just a perfect scene.
Yes. Yes. Kudos to them. Every actor on that show, incredible. And I'll say this too. We are a Game of Thrones family. Like it is, I would have told you, near impossible for us to get beyond Kit Harington being Jon Snow.
Yeah. Yeah.
What he is doing as Henry Monk on that show.
He's incredible.
Every single person, Max Minghella this season.
Max Minghella.
What are we doing?
I know. Why is he not in everything?
Yasmin.
I know.
My God.
I mean, the casting is incredible. But why are they not nominated for every award?
I know. And I don't know, but I couldn't agree more. And I was so elated to see it was coming back. I'm so glad you brought this up because I have been wanting to talk about industry, and short of getting the showrunners here, it really deserves its due, and people need to go watch that show.
I mean, I tell everybody, I'm just like, it's, you know, and look, I love The Pit, but I just
haven't watched it yet.
Well, really,
I'm like the only person alive who hasn't watched it yet.
I love The Pit. But it's they're doing different things, and I don't know how you could watch Eric Tau's performance and not just be like, well, let's just cancel this award and we'll just mail you the Emmy right now. Yeah,
I couldn't agree more. It's astonishing. The last thing, this is actually, I think, a good wrap up to end on, is speaking of The Pit. My husband told me that there is something called competency porn, which is, The Pit is a great example of it, because we as humans in the world, in the workplace especially, are finding such wild incompetence everywhere.
Oh my God, I love
to watch something. So I called my best
good at their jobs.
Right. So I called my best friend Amy, and I was like, there is something called competency porn, and we are going to watch it. So I haven't started The Pit yet, but you can see like the need for society to have something like that.
Yeah.
And the reason I sort of end on that note is you've had such an incredible career path, and I admire the, not just tenacity, but the like betting on yourself, but also staying true to who you are, of, I'm still going to have a salary and health benefits while I'm going to figure out how to have more time to write. Like, I just think you're such a great model of that. And also, like, only at GW. So proud. So proud.
Me too.
I love it. Thank you so much for doing this. This was so fun. Like a trip down memory lane. We're going to look at this off camera more. I never know how to end this. So I'm just going to get up and give you a hug. Thank you so much. This was awesome.